outside. Welcome everybody to Dharma Punx Seattle. Good to see you all. We're gonna kind of take it back to the basics maybe for some people. I always feel it's important to continue to go back to some of the most basic teachings in Buddhism. In this case, I'm talking about the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So for those of you who are somewhat familiar with the Buddhist practice, wise mindfulness, right mindfulness is an aspect of the Eightfold Path. And one of the things that the Buddha did very well and very clearly was to break down things so that way people could understand them. He got enlightened and was like, nobody's gonna get this. Like, this is way too fucking hard. And he was talked into it, and through making lists, because at the time we weren't writing stuff down, through making lists and verbally being able to come up with ways that we could more easily remember them, we have numerous lists. And this is, you know, no exception, right? There's the Eightfold Path with right mindfulness leading to the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And then each of the 4 foundations has like its own subsect. You can really just kind of go wild with the list, but it's not about that. For me, one of the reasons I find really understanding and getting to know these lists useful is because I tend to think I know everything a lot. And so being able to have these references, especially when I'm approaching something like mindfulness, approaching mindfulness in a culture of where mindfulness is at now, where it's like, you know, apps and a buzzword, and it's got all of these connotations to it that aren't accurate. So being able to refer to these lists as a check of, do I understand when I say I'm coming into a room and I'm trying to practice mindfulness, I'm trying to practice meditation, do I understand what I'm actually doing? Or do I just have this idea of something that I picked up from culture through, you know, what became popularized in the 60s, but I feel like in the past decade, it's taken a resurgence and caught on in therapy speak and all that. So I'll go through week by week. This will be the next month, the different foundations. This week we'll start with the first foundation, which is mindfulness of the body. This is often where we start in many of our meditations with mindfulness of breathing. This would be considered first foundation. Mindfulness of breathing is in the mindfulness of the body camp. Additionally, there's also in mindfulness of the body, we have mindfulness of breath. We have mindfulness of postures, so the different postures of meditation. We have mindfulness of just daily activities, the body doing things, eating, cleaning, doing work. We have mindfulness of different parts of the body. So maybe you've seen this in a body scan. We have mindfulness of the 4 elements. And we have mindfulness of the charnel ground, mindfulness of death is also in parts of the body. So these are, again, different foundations that we're setting in our mindfulness practice. And when we're starting with mindfulness of the body, a lot of these have 2 core things that they're trying to teach us. One of those things is getting us more familiar to the concentration practices, trying to keep ourselves rooted in an object. So all of these have an object that we're trying to kind of keep the mind focused on, whether it's the breath, whether it's the 4 elements of the body, whether it's different parts of the body. This is all taking different objects that we can kind of focus the mind on. Another big part of mindfulness of the body as a whole, the foundation, is impermanence. It's interesting that in the Theravada Thai force tradition, the tradition that I'm schooled in and that I teach from, so when a monk ordains, the instruction that he's given, I forget how to pronounce the actual word, but the Pali word translates to the working ground. And the working ground that is given is mindfulness of hair on the head, mindfulness of hair on the body, mindfulness of teeth, mindfulness of nails, and mindfulness of skin. That's the first teaching that they're told to, they get their cool fucking robes and then they're like, take these. And you're, in my mind, I hear that and I'm like, so fucking boring. So boring. And you also have to think, most of the time with these monastics, they're not new meditators. They've often been meditating for a long time. They've been coming to the monastery in and out for a long time. They've spent a year as a anagarika in white robes. They've been meditating. And then they get in the robes and they're like, focus on your nails. And my initial reaction is like, is this some kind of fucking hazing that they do to these monks? And the more that I have spent time practicing these, because I often want to I talk about this a lot, I often want to get past the first foundation of mindfulness, like do it for a little bit in my meditation, but then like get on to the cooler, grander, like I need to figure out me stuff. And there's so much you can learn about yourself by meditating on your fucking nails. My nails in particular. But in all seriousness, because there's the relationship to attachment. That's one of the big things that monks are asked to give up, is a lot of attachments. And those first 5 are all big representations of, we don't say our teeth are us, right? If like our teeth were all on the floor, we wouldn't be like, there's me. But the combination of our hair on the head, hair of the body, teeth, nails, like that's what we generally kind of be like, yeah, all of those together is kind of me. Maybe we don't think that very overtly, but in some ways. And the impermanence aspect of it. Because if you meditate on any of these parts of the body or mindfulness of death, the charnel ground practices, that's where we begin to experiment with the impermanence of this body. And really looking at being able to use it as a very obvious anchor for our meditation practices. But the condition that we want it all of the time is not going to be what we want. It's going to change because we age. It's going to change because that's just what bodies do, right? My nails don't stay this way. So that's the introduction to the first foundation of mindfulness. That's the very technical side of things. I'll get into a more practical side of things after. But for the discussion period, and for those of you who are newer or not familiar, we leave a section to kind of get together and discuss part of this topic. And so the question for the groups today is thinking about your relationship to the word mindfulness. And where did you first hear about it? Telling your story of mindfulness and what it means to you. And again, it's okay if it's not 1,000% correct. Try not to compare your understanding of mindfulness to other people's understanding of mindfulness. Listen mindfully and kind of acknowledge if you're like, wow, my understanding's a little shoddy, or and be willing to be open and learn from other people who, might have been doing it longer. So, all right, we'll give it about 8 minutes, and then if people on the live stream want to meditate or journal on the topic or have a snack, feel free. No snacks for you guys. So yeah, we'll do 3 in 3 groups, figure it out. Find a comfortable way to sit. We're going to jump into the meditation. Listening to the bell ring out. And taking an extended exhale. Beginning by softening to the present moment experience. Softening the belly, muscles in the face, relax the jaw, muscles around the eyes. Letting your shoulders fall away from the ears. Taking a moment to notice if in the body there's any discomfort that can be changed. Allowing a moment for yourself to adjust. And noticing the breath. The rise and fall of the chest or abdomen. Or some people find the tip of the nose to be an easier place to keep track of the breath. And simply allowing yourself to be with the breath. So often we wish we had more time to relax, more time for contentment. And it's possible right now. Letting go of the mind's desire to use this time to plan or remember. And giving yourself this moment to the breath to relax. If the mind is feeling very noisy this evening, perhaps recollecting an intention, the reason you started meditating, bringing yourself into contact with that inspiration and motivation as you watch and feel the breath. Breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, know that you're breathing out. What does it mean to know the breath as it comes and goes? Coming back to the breath over and over again. Reminding yourself when you come back of its significance, the significance of something seemingly mundane. Now begin expanding the breath. If you're at the tip of the nose, following the inhalation to the lungs and belly. If you're at the belly, following the exhalation to the nose, connecting these 2 points, breathing, watching it rise and fall. And continuing to expand mindfulness to parts of the body, beginning with mindfulness of hair on the head. Noticing any sensation, opinions that might be coming up. Continuing to scan down the face to the teeth. And continuing the body scan down the neck and arms toward your fingernails. And continuing to expand the awareness to hair of the body and skin. Noticing the mind's tendency to have commentary, good, bad. And allowing for the awareness, if it's not already, to focus on the entire body itself. Perhaps trying to view it from the perspective of looking at it from the outside. And interestingly, noting how maybe we don't outrightly identify with the body being us, but yet we can have this subjective view. Continuing to take this further and watching just like any other part of nature, a tree or a blade of grass. This body aging. Until eventually one day the body succumbs to death. Going through the stages of decomposition. Again, in the same way, all things of nature becoming bloated, until eventually down to the bones, and even in certain conditions, the bones decaying. Be willing to get creative, noticing the mind's commentary. Letting this aspect of the meditation, this visualization fade, allowing the breath to reemerge. Coming back to the breath. Reflecting on that perhaps initial inspiration, and any feelings or that might have come up. Maybe prompting the mind with a question. What do these different aspects of meditation have to teach me about impermanence? When you are ready and the bell rings, allowing your eyes to open, allowing yourself to continue with this sort of meditative state, not flinging it across the room. So mindfulness, lots of different aspects of it. It's rich. One thing that can be helpful, as I know that I do and I know a lot of other teachers do, is you can use awareness and mindfulness interchangeably. Sometimes you hear both of these words kind of tossed around, and it can be maybe confusing that these are meant to be two different things, and you can kind of just same. The Pali term for mindfulness is sati, and the translation that's often given for that is mindfulness awareness, but also to bring something up. So this is if you think about, at least in my own early meditation practice, when I was first getting started, I can remember there was a period of time where I would say to myself, I've been mindful all day. And really what was happening was I was so busy that I hadn't really engaged the mind too horribly much. It was just kind of like there was a succession of things happening, so there wasn't a lot of rumination or distraction to be had. Which this is not mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't so much of a task to be done. Mindfulness is about knowing, and the level and depth of that can be very surface, or it can be very, very rich. And so a couple just myth-busting moments, I guess, for mindfulness is that most often we hear that mindfulness is about emptying the mind, and often, you know, on some level we're doing it here, or we see other people meditating and we're very still and very quiet, and so we assume just by our perception, by looking, that person must have nothing going on in here. Not like me, that's like crazy and whatever, but you know, if I open my eyes, like, you look the exact same as me. And so disposing of that perception, that the goal is for the mind to be emptied. One of my favorite analogies here to use is just as the heart beats and the lungs breathe, so too the mind thinks. And to think that we're just going to stop thinking, we would have to go back, you know, several decades ago and reignite lobotomies. That's not going to happen in meditation practice. The mind is going to keep doing what it's going to do. So with that, knowing that, what is this mindfulness thing for then, if we're not trying to empty the mind of all the thoughts? This is where the first foundation of mindfulness becomes so important, is it gives us a place for our awareness to go. So often, this is why we start with the mindfulness of the breath. Why? Because it's bringing us into the present moment. And the beginning of the meditation, in many of my meditations, I try to remind folks that this is an important and necessary aspect of the meditation. This isn't like, you know, the training wheels before you go off and do, you know, backflips off of or whatever. Like, this is an important and necessary step. And even so, that there's so much to learn just by observing the breath. Just by observing the breath, there's so much to learn. Yes, of course, there's, you know, hundreds of other lists and suttas and different things that the Buddha has given us to do, but just being mindfulness of the breath alone. One of the developments in my own practice with mindfulness of the breath is that famous phrase the Buddha uses, and a lot of meditation teachers use, which is the breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, know that you're breathing out.
And to me, that's usually something my brain kind of just skims right over. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm trying. And what if that wasn't just something a teacher was saying because, we want you to make sure you're focusing on the breath? What if that was a very important phrase? What if this was a very pertinent and necessary phrase that is being said? What if in meditation, everything the teacher says was trying to bring you into a space rather than just filler words until we get to the good stuff? So breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, know that you're breathing out. To know that one is breathing in, there's different or more to that the Buddha gives. If you breathing in short, know that you're breathing out short. Breathing out long, know that you're breathing out long. Doesn't matter if you're breathing in or out, short, long, whatever. And that's one of the things that I think people tend to get hung up on, is we want to, which one is it? Is it supposed to be short or long or medium, or what does the breath need to be? And it's more about knowing. Know that you're breathing in and out. Knowing that it's short. Knowing that it's long. Knowing that it changes and fluxes depending on how relaxed you are. There's so much that we can gather as data about our physical bodies and mental state just by knowing. And similarly, by knowing, we can also gather how maybe restless or tired our meditation is. The analogy here that's often given is holding the breath like a bird in our palm, that we don't want to hold the breath so tight that we squish the bird in our hands, and then we don't want to hold it so loose that the bird flies away. We want to hold it just so. And similarly with the breath, if it becomes too constricted, if we're too constricted in the meditation and mindfulness of breath, this is great data points before we start off into other areas of meditation, is if I'm too tight around the object, then that's going to cause a lot of different problems, or if the mind is too loose. So there's a lot that we can gather just about where we are in the present moment, just by analyzing the breath and analyzing the relationship to the breath. Further, with another invitation I often try to give is the invitation to relax. I feel like a lot of people, at least in my own meditation practice, there was a lot of doing in the meditation and not a lot of relaxing. I was definitely more of the tight version meditator, trying to make sure I'm doing it right. Ugh. And so the invitation to relax, to arrive, to be content. I can't tell you how many times throughout my day, throughout my week, I fantasize if only I could get some rest, if only I could relax. And then I get to the meditation and I'm just flailing. And it's really interesting to notice that about myself anyway, that we say that we want happiness and contentment, and you have this opportunity to in meditation, and what do? We start time traveling in the past. We start time traveling to the future. We do everything that makes us fucking stressed. We don't want. It's I have to ask myself in
when my mind wants to go those places, like, do I want to be happy? Do you want to be happy, or do you want to be stressed? Do you want anxiety or depression? So that's some myth busting, some mindfulness of breath, the necessity. And then, yeah, there's the other 5 that I'm not going to go through all today. You know, you can see where things get complicated and complex with these things. And practically, it's not super important to do them all in a meditation, like how I kind of ran through about half of the mindfulness of body. Not necessary, but good to change it up. I know for me, I get bored with meditation. So fucking bored. And I think the Buddha must have known this, because he gave us like 60 different meditation objects where it was just like, it shouldn't be possible for you to get bored. If you're bored in meditation, that's your own fucking fault. So it gives you a spectrum, and they all have different emphasis and different things to teach us, right? I think breath is a great one. It's solid. Use it. And if we start getting really bored of the breath, changing it out, doing body scan, doing the whole 32 parts of the body, or just the 5 we did today. I find personally my concentration tends to really click in if I feel really, really restless and my mind wants to like go and buzz and it's just not really, it's being really wily. Doing a parts of the body scan for me really kind of brings me there more than my breath. Similarly, if I'm maybe arriving at my breath and noticing I'm feeling kind of dull and sluggish, bringing in the mindfulness of death practice. There's a list there too. There's 9 different, but don't worry about that as much as just like the process of the decaying body. And that to sort of ignite some, hopefully not depression, hopefully more inspiration, more gratitude toward, you know, at least in my own practice, my relationship to the death meditation is trying to reframe the monotony and the mundane, because everything can be mundane, even things that are awesome. Like I have so much fucking cool shit in my house and it's all mundane. And doing a death meditation to really remind myself that this isn't forever. Like this is what I got to awaken, wake up, wake the fuck up a little bit. I know that I feel like that meditation can be pretty polarizing for some people. Some people find it very easy. Some people find it, kind of gross and difficult. I hoped that in the frame that we're trying, one of the other aspects that the 4 elements in the death meditation are trying to give us is to remind us that we are nature itself. That just like a tree is birthed and it grows and then it ages and then it dies, that we are subject to that same that same life cycle, same-ish life cycle. And, not looking at it as something that's gross and weird, because our culture has a tendency to be like, oh, you're above a certain age, like we better hide you in a fucking home. And then, oh, you're dead, like we better hide you. But bringing this reality to mind, that, we don't get grossed out when a tree is starting to decay, like, ugh. That'd be kind of funny, but we don't, right? When flowers, somebody gives you a bouquet, like, that's fucking dead. Just dead. And then you watch them decay, we're trying to bring ourselves more in consistency with nature, rather than, in a lot of ways, the human experience is very special and it is very unique. And even the Buddha says that the human realm has a spectacular significance to awaken and, really understand freedom, that it's a privilege to have this carnation of human, but still susceptible to the same kind of shit. So, yeah, first foundation of mindfulness. The other ones that I didn't mention, so far I've mentioned lots of mindfulness of breath, mindfulness of death, 4 elements. The other ones, and the parts of the body, the other 2, which is the activities and the postures, which kind of have some parallels to them. In Buddhism, there's 4 meditation postures, which is sitting, standing, lying down, and walking. And there are the formal, right, sitting, standing, walking down, lying. I said that weird. You understood what I meant, I hope. Thank you. There's the formal parts of, right, the sitting meditation, the way the Buddha's sitting, the way that I'm sitting, that formal sitting. There's, the formal kind of walking meditation, the walking back and forth. There's even a formal lying down meditation, lion's pose, where you're laying down on your side like this, and it's really weird, very uncomfortable. If you think that it's going to be somehow easier than sitting meditation, I promise you it's not. Just like immediately dead arm. Digressing, the point is the postures. That these are the different ways that we just exist in the world. We're either sitting down, we're either standing up, we're either walking around, or we're laying down, right? And so we're bringing mindfulness into all of the postures, and then mindfulness into all of the daily activities. That mindfulness isn't reminding ourselves that it's not exclusive to the sitting or the formal postures. That this practice is something that we want to bring into everything. Eating, getting ready for bed, brushing our teeth. Why do we want to do this? I cite this all the time, that this was a big Thich Nhat Hanh thing. Thich Nhat Hanh being like, you gotta, do the dishes and be mindful. And I'm like, that's boring. No, I want to be entertained. And the purpose of bringing mindfulness, if we, again, change out that word, awareness, bringing awareness into all these activities, how does that sit differently? Rather than mindlessness, because in that mindlessness space, what am I doing? I'm getting often lost in anxiety,
often lost in depression. I'm arguing with people who aren't here. I'm wishing that I had something that I don't have. So we're bringing the awareness into all of these things so that way we're not all of a sudden depressed and being like, what happened? Right? It shouldn't, this is a preventative model. It starts out being an intervention. It starts out being like whoa, okay, I fucked up. I fucked up, now I gotta meditate. That's where we start, but hopefully over time it's prevention. That's the direction we're swimming. One final thing that I like to add, just in terms, because I know I've talked about it somewhat recently in different talks, but the usefulness of the first foundation of mindfulness and counteracting craving. Often when we're experiencing craving, whether it's craving for drugs or a cigarette or certain kinds of food or sex or relationships or whatever the thing is, we often want to go into the fourth or third foundations of mindfulness and figure out why it is we want that, and do the big heart exploration. And that's great. We want to be able to kind of get down to the root of it. But at a certain point, we kind of just know, and it's okay to stick with the first foundation of mindfulness. And when we're in these spaces of craving, utilize these, rather than being like, there's a craving here. Oh, why am I having the craving? Should I be having the craving? What would just being like, mindfulness of breath. Craving, mindfulness of breath. We're coming back to the object over and over and over again. Or utilizing it outwardly with the 4 elements or parts of the body. If it's something in particular that we're craving, if we're craving food or a drug, being like, oh, it's the 4 elements. Trying to break it down into its smaller parts makes it less desirable. And then same if the issue is, I want somebody, using 32 parts of the body, I find to be really useful in breaking down craving for people. Because then if we just look at them as hair of the head, hair of the body, skin, nails, just try to imagine that person just in an array of these different things and being like, less attractive. So I'll end there. Any questions or anything that you would like to just comment on?
Yeah. I noticed that when I really practice, especially breathing meditations that are guided, I get so in it. I'm existing so in the breathing meditation that when it ends and I'm told to open my eyes, I get scared because I forget that there's people around me. And then I question, I'm like, was I really being mindful because I forgot where the fuck I was?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I realized I have such a hard time focusing on more than one thing at a time. And I still don't know if the goal of being mindful is to be able to be mindful of a bunch of things at once, or just to be focused and present on one thing at a time.
That's a really good question. And it's a difficult one to answer because I'll answer it both ways. One way you can look at this is hopefully we're not getting tunnel vision, right? The awareness practice is here to say, I'm kind of being aware of all of the different things that are happening. Awareness of sound and awareness of sensations of the body, right? Because we want to be able to
have that level of awareness in our day-to-day life where things are moving fucking fast, right? And if we're too, focused on mindfulness of hearing, then like, are we gonna miss other things, right? Other answer. In very, very concentrated meditations, it's normal for everything to drop out. I don't know which one is accurate for you. I would suspect that those levels of concentration aren't common. So I would experiment. I would play, see about, what is it like when I bring the awareness kind of out of, just out of just like, the body, and, what if I bring the field of awareness about here, and then do mindfulness of the breath, and see if that doesn't change anything. Yeah, play with it, experiment. So, does that help? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and end there then. All right, so Donna, there is a $5 to $10 suggested donation. So if you have less, give less. If you have more, give more. Ultimately, Buddhism is always to be freely offered, so no pressure to donate. If you would like to donate, you can throw some cash into this bowl here, or I'll give you my personal Venmo that you can send to me. And all right, we'll go ahead and dedicate the merit. So if you would like to put your hands together, you may. If you just want to close your eyes, that's fine. May any goodness that came from the practice here today not be held, but given above and below, to the seen and the unseen, to those being born and to those who are dying. All right, thank you. Same. Likewise. Yes. Yes.
So many jokes kept coming to mind.
Okay.
In my head, as that's how my head works.
Yeah.
And
Feel free to share.
I mean,